Welcome. Hello, everybody. Please share the stream. Please click subscribe at youtube.com/moment of clarity. Yes, please share the stream. That is not something you hear when you're pissing in the woods. Definitely not. But in this case, please do that. I'm going to tell you a little story here, and the ending is shocking and infuriating. So I'm going to start off with a breaking news story, and then I'll get into maybe a little extra, and then we'll see if we have time for some questions. But please share this. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so let me tell you a little story here. What happened in Las Vegas recently? Las Vegas, Nevada. You got to just remember when you show up in Las Vegas, you usually go, more than you go, So don't say Nevada. You got to, because just the way to remember it is when you walk in there, you go, not So it's Nevada, not Nevada. I think I have that right. Although, listen, there's multiple places in the world where people are like, no, you got to pronounce it like this or go fuck yourselves. A lot of people say that. But here's the thing. You know how they pronounce Paris in France? They say Paris. But I'm not saying Paris, because if I say Paris in America, I sound like an asshole. If someone walks up to you and they go, hey, I just came back from Paris, punch them in the face immediately. That is the only proper response. Okay? Same with croissant. If you say croissant in France, perfect. If you say croissant in the U.S., douche-tard. All right? Don't say croissant. If you're at fucking Panera and you're like, yeah, I'd like some fucking ham on a croissant, they're gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Did you just choke? Are you okay? So we pronounce different things differently in different places. All right. I want to tell you a little story about what happened in Las Vegas. And here's how the story starts. Okay, we have tons of homelessness in this country. We have tons of people facing eviction, right? Millions of people facing eviction. And this is during the pandemic, by the way. This is what this video you're about to see is. And here's how Las Vegas lovingly dealt with the fact that you have a lot of homeless people in a pandemic, and they're not taking care of them. There's not enough room for this. Only 30% room in shelters. Only 30% of the homeless have room in the shelters to be housed. So that means 70%, even if the shelters are full, even if everyone goes to the shelters, 70% are still out on the streets. Here's how Vegas dealt with that. Okay, this is their big event where they said, we've got a plan during the pandemic. Come one, come all. If you're homeless, come on. We're going to help you out. We're the city of Las Vegas. We're looking out for you. This is everybody showing up to the big offering from the city of Vegas. They gave them blankets and water. Lovely, lovely. And you got to assume,
so we've set up an emergency shelter for our homeless population.
Emergency shelter.
The end of last week, we had Catholic Charities actually shut down. We had an individual test positive for COVID-19 who had been in both Catholic Charities shelter and the city's Courtyard Homeless Resource Center, which is another shelter that we have. So Catholic Charities ended up closing temporarily. And so the city is out here working with the county.
Thank God for the city
partners to
and the county.
Set up some emergency space.
Emergency space.
That's safe and they can social distance.
You ready for it? Here it is. The moment everybody's been waiting for. The emergency space that they've set up for their homeless. Thank you, Las Vegas. That's it. You're looking at it. It's a parking lot with lines on it. They gave them a fucking parking lot with lines on it. That's their see each one of those squares? That's where they get to live. One person each square in a fucking empty parking lot.
We have porta potties here. We have hand washing stations.
Well done. You have porta potties and hand washing stations. You fucking assholes. All right. So, but that's just the beginning of the story. That's how it starts. We, the city, are going to help our homeless in this time, in this pandemic. We're going to help them, and we're going to give them somewhere to help be, and we're gonna really make it safe for them. And here's a parking lot with lines on it. That's the beginning of the story. So, what is an average citizen who wants to help, who thinks this is horseshit? What do? Well, if they're a better person than me, and probably you, but I won't judge, but a better person than me, if they're really donating their time on a daily basis to help the homeless, well, they'd probably give them some shelter, right? They'd bring them some tents and some housing, and so here's the next step in this story. Okay. Sadly, you have to turn to Fox News for some reality. But here's the next step in the story. These amazing people that actually care, people that actually have a fucking caring bone in their body. What do? They bring them homes.
Food Not Bombs Las Vegas and the Sidewalk Project are building tiny mobile homes. Each home is about 10 feet by 5 feet. They cost about $600 to build. They tell us the project is funded by the community and local charities. So far, the group built 7 mobile homes that are currently occupied and on city-owned lots off Owens Avenue. They're working to build 3 more, and they have a waiting list of people who need a tiny home.
Okay, so they started building tiny homes. Amazing, incredible. And she said it's only 6 or whatever, but they ended up building dozens. And this is how you should behave, right? If you're an average human being that actually gives a shit, you should at least support this kind of thing. I'm not saying, like I said, they're better people than me. I'm not out there building tiny homes, but you should at least be a supporter of this. You should at least say, that sounds like a good idea. They're giving people tiny homes. It's like a less than a room. It's basically a little thing that holds a bed and a little extra room. That's it. And yet it makes a world of difference to your average homeless person because they have somewhere safe. They have somewhere they can lock their stuff. They have somewhere that's going to be a lot warmer than being outside in the elements. You can get out of the rain. All these wonderful things. This is the way you should behave if you're an average moral human being, is you should either do that type of shit or at least say, I'm glad that's happening. I think that's good. So they started doing this, building these tiny homes. People started living them. They found an area that was completely unused. And also, let's keep in mind, this is in Vegas during this pandemic. So we're talking probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's millions, at least hundreds of thousands, but probably millions of empty hotel rooms in Vegas right now. Just thousands upon thousands of them because nobody's going to Vegas. And so you've got empty rooms just filling massive skyscrapers as high as the eye can see of empty rooms. No one staying in them, people sleeping in the streets. That's what you have going on in Vegas right now. So these people giving of their time, their money, and keep in mind how easy this is. $600 to build one of these things. It takes maybe a day to build, and it's all volunteer work. They're not getting paid. The $600 goes only to materials, and you could easily have people donate enough to create a lot of these and really house the population. Like I said, only 30%. The shelters in Las Vegas only house 30% of the homeless. And being in a shelter is no piece of cake for a homeless person. It's many people testify to how terrible it is because your stuff gets stolen. You can't always get a bed. You aren't staying at the same place every night. It's tons of problems. Sexual assaults can be rampant. So this is wonderful, right? This is the way human beings should behave. Thank goodness that Food Not Bombs, they worked with other groups, but Food Not Bombs is one of the ones I've been in contact with, and just doing great things, right? So I'll give you, here's another video of what the tiny homes looked like. Just so you can see it.
It's incredible to me that we haven't gotten everybody into a home. Like growing up myself from rental to rental and watching the struggle of trying to keep shelter is proof enough that people need more stability in their life than just like fighting to have a roof over their head.
Okay, so there's more look at how it was done, building the tiny homes, giving them to people, and like he was saying, it gives people stability. It helps when we have people, everyone housed. It helps everyone. It helps your neighborhood. It helps your community. There's less crime. There's less sexual assault. People have stability. They can often then get jobs. They can often then stop their addictions if they have addiction problems. Giving people homes. It's an absolutely the beginning to being a human advanced society. No, like the fact that we have homeless at all is proof that we are completely unevolved. And they've done studies like in Utah where they gave every homeless person a house, an apartment. So 1 room apartment, cheapest apartment they can find, 1 room studio apartment. And they gave them a caseworker that they'd meet with every once in a while to help them get on their feet. And they saw how that changed things. And guess what? Homelessness was down by 91%. They came close to eradicating homelessness. And these people, and it actually saved the city money. The city saved money by giving every one of them their own apartment because of the cost to the city to do like things like emergency room visits that they can't pay for, and police called, and all of those things that have to do with the way a city deals with homelessness. Often all of those costs are erased. So you end up with them actually saving money by giving people these apartments. And they got rid of 91% of homelessness. So what did Utah do when they realized how well this was working? They stopped the program. So now they've gotten rid of that program. Homelessness has shot back up in Utah, and they're back like any other major American state. So it's good to see that they're getting back in line with the way things work here. We love to have fucking homeless by the tens of thousands in every city. It's just a great idea. It's just great to see people chewed up and spit out like that. But hold on, we're not to the end of the story yet. All right. I've shown you that they gave them a parking lot. I've shown you that people then realizing that they wanted to save their community, wanted to help these people that don't have homes, the houseless. They jumped in and they said, you know what? Our city's not taking care of it. The government's not taking care of it. We're going to fucking do it. Let's give these people as many homes as we can. And if it proves successful, then more people will donate, and it can keep growing, and it can be a self-sufficient community. And that was their goal. And as you saw, it was going quite well. Sorry about that. Hold on.
A homeless camp gone within minutes. Dozens of people called.
Damn it. Stop playing. Okay, so as you might have just heard there, what is their response? This is Las Vegas's response to dealing with this shit. Dealing with the fact that people were actually getting housed. Fucking ads. Okay.
Many of these living in donated huts. But yesterday morning, all of that changed. The I-Team's David Charnes is here in studio to tell us what exactly happened. David?
Well, Brian, more than 24 of these huts, donated huts, were cleared from this site early in the morning.
Cleared. Euphemism.
Said she lost everything, and she tells us this only continues the cycle of homelessness.
There they are.
This is North Las Vegas Police Department. You need to pack up your stuff. You need to get out.
It only took a matter of minutes for Katie Johnson to lose most of what she had.
I lost a lot of my clothes, our stuff, the food that we had gathered up.
She stored them in one of 26 insulated huts, all built and donated by volunteers. But early Monday, they were cleared from this lot next to the I-15 just off Lucy. NDOT owns the land, and North Las Vegas maintains it. City leaders say the camp threatened the safety of its residents.
Yeah, threaten the safety of its residents by giving them fucking homes. Go fuck yourselves. The excuses. So as you saw, they bulldozed them, they crushed them, they gave the people like less than 15 minutes to get out. They very easily could have given them far more warning. They could have gone in days in advance and said, listen, we're not going to allow this to stay here any longer, but we're going to find you other places to live. Let's get to work on that. We'll work with you on that. They could have done that, but they didn't. They put up a little piece of paper that said trespassing the day before and then came in because they want to destroy things. They want to set an example that if you fucking dare give people housing, if you dare give people a way of life that isn't on the fucking pavement in the middle of two goddamn white lines that we've painted for you, if you dare to do something out of the nothingness we've done outside of it, then we will crush you. We will bulldoze it. We will send in cops. They completely destroyed the encampment. They destroyed all those homes that you saw that cost $600 a piece. So times, it said there were a couple dozen there. So you do the math because I can't. And yeah, so several $1,000s of supplies just lost. Then, of course, there's all the time of the volunteers that built those homes, the time to get them in place. And then there's all of the belongings that the homeless people had put inside of them. Most of those were also torn up and thrown away. Interviews with organizers said that people lost their things like their papers that they'd worked so hard to get, because when you're homeless and you don't have identification, it's very tough to get things like identification, like driver's license, like medical cards, all these things you need to exist in our society, that it makes it incredibly difficult for people to get by without. The people lost those because they fucking sent in bulldozers to trash it all. And this happened just less than 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas. And it's just fucking repulsive. And in our society, as we're facing more and more evictions, I mean, coming up, the eviction moratorium will end. So far, there's not been a lot of talk of extending it, which it absolutely should be extended. Oh, I don't know, let's say forever. And so people are facing, the numbers are that 1 out of every 3 Americans right now are facing troubles paying their bills. 1 out of every 3 American adults, at the very least. And then the numbers were 40 million people facing eviction that coming when the eviction moratorium's over. But that number's probably gone up a lot since then. Because I got that number 2-3 months ago. Who knows what it is now? But it's just, and like I said, there is plenty of room. There's plenty of materials. We live in a post-scarcity society. It's not like there's not enough room for people to have homes. It's not like there's not enough materials for people to have homes. It's not like there's not enough effort and desire for people to have homes. It is fucking repulsive. And we're going to be seeing this more and more, and people are going to find more and more ways to stand up and fight back. And you're seeing people unite. You're seeing people get together and start fighting this. And the fact that these homes were built in the first place is amazing. What this group was doing, I mean, they were trying to create a sustainable way that these people could live. And the city doesn't want that, because if they prove that there is a way out from the kind of, survival of the fittest, eat your neighbor mentality of our economics, then that's a problem for them. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to be able to live as someone who can't get a job. They want it to be fucking miserable and awful, and they probably prefer you die, I think, because you're not a good consumer. I mean, that's what we get rewarded for in this society. We get rewarded for being good consumers. We get rewarded for having a good credit score. What is your credit score but proof that you have been a member of American consumerist society in a very large way? The more you buy, the more you put on credit, the more interest you pay. That's you proving you're a successful cog in this wheel of just soul-tearing economics. Anyway, like I was saying, we have all the materials. It's all here. There's no reason that people shouldn't be housed. And like they point to in their responses. So the jurisdiction of this area, keep in mind, this was a land that was not being used at all. That's why they chose it. It was a land that was out of the way of the main, area of Las Vegas, where if there were tourists right now, where the tourists would be. So they didn't like camp out fucking downtown in front of the Bellagio. They weren't building their little tiny homes in the fountain at the fucking Mirage or what have you. No, they were out, although that would be a better use of that land than the shit they use it for, those massive casinos. But no, they went to a place that was not in the way. They went to a place that was not going to interrupt the tourist traffic that Vegas loves so much. And that still was not enough. And so there's jurisdictions, there's 3 separate jurisdictions in this area, and all 3 have put out statements about why they tore apart this encampment. And so the Nevada Department of Transportation, et cetera, also city of, did I say it right? Nevada? Yeah. No, Nevada. Shit. God damn it. I just got to remember, when you show up in Las Vegas, you go, ah. You don't go, ah. I just got to I'm working on it, man. So Nevada Department of Transportation, and watch, I'll get done with this video and someone will say I had it backwards the whole time. Anyway, their response was that, and this is basically a response from all 3 jurisdictions, also, county of Nevada or whatever, county of Las Vegas, Nevada, county, and county of Vegas or whatever, city of Vegas. Yeah. So, but they all said that it was becoming a biohazard. It was a concern because it wasn't clean enough. Well, guess what? First of all, the city could provide bathrooms for their fucking homeless population if they gave a shit. And I didn't, no pun intended. But if they actually cared about these people, they could provide the bathrooms easily. They also said that there was too much trash around, and so it was becoming dirtier. Well, guess what? They had actually earlier, according to Joey Lankowski, Joey Lankowski with Food Not Bombs in Vegas. They had brought dumpsters down to this encampment to allow people to use them, and people were using them. But then the city stopped emptying the dumpsters because they wanted it to become too dirty. They wanted the trash to build up because they had decided they were going to remove all these people, which also goes against CDC guidelines. CDC has said that homeless encampments should not be cleared out right now because guess what? It just spreads COVID-19 around the city when you do that. So the city decided to go, the governments of the city and the county decided to go against CDC guidelines, destroy these people's homes, and claim that it was too dirty. But of course, they had stopped taking out the trash. They had stopped doing their job, which was to clear out those dumpsters at various points because they wanted it to be, not hygienic or whatever the stupid words are. And then, by the way, it's all fucking bullshit anyway, because have you ever looked around a stadium after the big game? Have you ever gone outside a Dallas Cowboys fucking, outside of after the big game, any of these big teams, any college stadium afterwards? There's shit everywhere. There's drunk college kids pissing on like orphaned babies in trash piles. It's fucking chaos, all right? It is disgusting. There's half sausages being dragged around by rats. It is gross. So that is far less hygienic than a homeless tiny home. But guess what? Then the city comes running in after those games. And what do? They clean it up. They clean it up. Little people from the city come running in and they clean up all that shit so that they can say, look, these sporting events are wonderful for everybody. They help everybody. Whoopity-doo-dah. Well, they could do the same thing at tiny home encampments, couldn't they? Yes, they could. But they choose not to because they want to destroy them. They want to clear them out. They don't want to show that there is a different way to live than to just throw yourself 24/7 into wage slavery in order to be able to barely pay your rent and to pay in to the system that exploits you. They want that to be the only way to get by. And the idea that there could be another way upends it all. And so they make up these fucking rules that they then use to evict everybody. And so their argument right now is, well, it was illegal, right? It was illegal for them to be there. It was illegal for them to not have bathrooms. It was illegal for them to not clear out the trash or whatever they're saying. So they keep pointing to the law. You know who wrote those fucking laws? Who decides those things that, well, you can't have a tiny home on public property if it doesn't have a running water within 700 yards of a preschool, because then the preschoolers might stop washing their hands because they see someone not washing their hands. You know, whatever the stupid fucking provisions they put in. You know who writes those? Generally rich white men. But let's leave the men out of it because, you know, a lot of women are getting involved these days. So, rich white people. All right? Let's even go a step further and ignore the white part because you're getting more people of color involved in legislatures these days. Still, rich people. Largely rich people. And I don't mean billionaires, but at least they're not homeless. They're not dirt poor. Guess what? People who are very poor, who are homeless or borderline homeless, they're not in the town legislature. They're not the ones pushing these laws. They don't have the lawyers writing these bills. All right. When was the last fucking bill written by homeless people? When was the last bill written by somebody who can't even afford their rent? It doesn't happen. So basically, the rich, and again, I'm putting that in quotations because I'm not, you know, Bezos isn't writing the zoning things for tiny homes. It's usually your average legislature or whatever. But that's being written by businesses, by business lawyers. You know who doesn't have fucking lawyers working for them, writing these bills? Homeless people. People who are very poor. They don't have the groups of lawyers. They don't have groups of lobbyists writing these bills. So these laws that they all point to as, oh, it was an illegal encampment, these laws were created by the wealthy for the wealthy, by the business community for the business community, by those giant gleaming goddamn hotels and casinos for the giant gleaming goddamn hotels and casinos. You're starting to get the picture? What are these laws? What is legal versus illegal? Stop and think about it as a human being rather than just giving in to our cultural paradigm that we've just been soaked in since we were 2 years old, since we could understand the language. Actually, stop and think. Does that make sense to me that should be illegal? That it should be illegal for someone who doesn't have a home to live in a tiny, tiny house, just to be able to get by, just to not have their stuff stolen, just to be able to sleep without being rained on? Does that sound like that should be illegal to me? Or does that make no goddamn sense? It drives me nuts when we all act like robots. So many of us have act like robots. We just hear, oh, it's against the law. Well, it's against the law. And stop and think about it. Stop and consider it. Stop and decide whether that's something that should be against the law. Then we can talk. But yeah, so they point to all these, zoning requirements or horse shit like that as to why human beings should be forced onto pavement in between white lines that they've painted on the. There's nothing more goddamn immoral and disgusting than abiding by those laws that force people out on their own, that allow you to come in with a tractor trailer and tear up their homes. That's what should be illegal. In a sane world, in a just world, in an ethical world. So I think you're going to see more and more of not just of the fascist kind of police state tearing apart these things, and I don't just mean encampments, but I mean people getting together and trying to help each other. Things like mutual aid, things like Food Not Bombs. By the way, great organization. You should look it up. And if you wanted to donate to help these people, I'm sure I know Food Not Bombs has a website. I'm sure Food Not Bombs Las Vegas probably also has a website. I know they have a Twitter. So you should definitely look them up if you feel like donating to help out. But I think that people are going to be standing up in so many ways right now because we're facing this is going to be the darkest economic times since the Great Depression. These are incredibly rough times. And that's not even taking into account the environmental destruction we're doing. So let's start working together. Let's start not allowing them, meaning the ruling elite, to just extract our souls at every goddamn minute. I think workers have to come together. Maybe I'll cover it in an upcoming episode. There's a new worker-owned ride share, the first one that's worker-owned in New York City. They're hoping to launch, I think, in sometime next year. And basically, it would upend the Uber model, which is to extract, life and money from drivers who barely get paid. But I'll get into that in another episode. What is that? Another ad? Sorry, another ad playing. Okay, I want to show you one more thing here. This is a bit of a palate cleanser news story, because I know that other one's pretty dark, but there is some positive. The fact that people are standing up, that is definitely a positive. Okay, so let's see here. This story is palate cleanser. Yeah. So a drunk couple who were denied pizza tried to light the restaurant on fire. And it gets even better. Let's see. World Pizzas in Eugene, Oregon. 2 hungry drunks tried to burn the place down after being denied a pie. Matthew Bassard and Letitia Kajil, 32 and 36. We're not pleased when employees determined that they were too intoxicated to be served a slice. The employees got the duo out of the restaurant and locked the door behind them. But then they couldn't take no for an answer. They started pounding on the glass door and eventually smashed through. And then this is when it gets good. They allegedly tried to MacGyver a Molotov cocktail using the curtains from the smashed window as a wick as they shoved it into a jar of homemade moonshine that they were carrying with them. They ignited the liquid and threw it at the restaurant, but apparently failed to burn the place down. See, this is the problem with Americans. We have not really gotten our Molotov cocktail game on lock. I mean, we got to figure it out, folks. All right, watch the YouTube. You got the Molotov cocktails. You got to do it step by step. You got to have it right. Now, moonshine, probably good choice. I mean, maybe you always need to carry some moonshine with you, but the fact that they couldn't get the job done shows that the Molotov cocktail game was not ready for prime time. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Get your Molotov cocktail game ready. I mean, that's taking the Karens to a whole new level. I wanted pizza. I'm gonna burn your fucking restaurant down. But I think this is a bit of misdirected anger, which I think you're going to see a lot in the months upcoming, as 1 out of every 3 Americans it doesn't know how they're going to pay their next bill. I think people channel that anger and that frustration and that fear. They channel it into being angry at the wrong things. And so I don't think it's really the restaurant you should be furious at. I think you should be furious at the way our society could be rescuing people, could be saving people, could ensure that everyone keeps their jobs as other countries have done, and instead is funneling trillions to the rich. Literally trillions. That's where your anger needs to go. Not throwing moonshine bombs at your pizza place. It's probably not the right direction for the anger. Just saying. But yeah, thank you guys for giving us a news story that's it's a little more entertaining than maybe the homeless houses getting crushed. As I've mentioned a few times, I want everybody to check out Food Not Bombs if you haven't already. And I also have a new Rockfin channel. I've just started a premium series over there. However, unlike Patreon or something, it's not like you have to pay for every different person's stuff. You can just go to Rockfin and become a premium member of everything. So Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/LeeCamp. If you go to my page and hit subscribe, I think it's $10 a month. That's not just for me, like Patreon. That's for everybody. You get Jimmy Dore's premium content. You get Graham Elwood's premium content. You get, I think it's Whitney Webb. You get Sam Tripoli's premium. You get all these premium content for one payment. And that's why it's better than like Patreon and stuff. So check it out, rockfin.com/LeeCamp. Let's see here. For some odd reason, I'm trying to click on your comments, but it's not. Seems to be frozen on your comments. All right. Well, in that case, I might have to wrap it up. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry, I was gonna maybe answer a question or two, but looks like that function's not working. Keep fighting out there and check out LeeCamp.com every single day for a new video. I do these every single weekday, except sometimes. Also, I'm likely going live. I'm doing a live stream with Eleanor Goldfield this Sunday. It'll probably be earlier than normal, I think 4 p.m. Eastern. But join the email list to find out in case we change that time. You can join the email list by texting the word redacted to 33777. All right, keep fighting.